Balak, the king of Moab, sends his daughter Cosby, the princess, to attempt to seduce one of the leaders of the Jewish people. Unfortunately, she's successful. Zimri, the leader of the tribe of Shimon, gives in to her amorous advances, and while the two of them are engaged in an act of forbidden intimacy, we're told that Pinchas got up and left the assembled people and took his spear in his hand and entered their tent and killed both of them. The Torah never tells us anything unnecessarily. Why do we need this description of Pinchas's pre-action preparation? He got up and he left the people and he took his spear in his hand. Just say that Pinchas went into the tent and killed them both. We'd realize that he must have gotten up and taken his spear and had it in his hand. I heard an explanation once as follows. If we didn't have that description of his preparation, we would think that Pinchas was a prior day version of Rambo or John Wick, walking around with a spear, just waiting for someone to look at him cross-eyed so he'd have an excuse to kill him. That's not the case. Pinchas was mild-mannered. He wasn't looking to kill anybody. He was way out of his comfort zone. He had to get up, leave the people he was with, take a spear in his hand, and then go into their tent and use it to kill them. We see from this that we have to always be at the ready, at a moment's notice, without any warning, to stand up when God's reputation or the reputation of the Jewish people is at stake. It's awkward, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable, but we have to leave our comfort zone when the situation requires it. I had a situation like that once, and I'm not happy to tell you about it, but here it is. I was on a plane, sitting in the first row on the aisle. The guy sitting across from me on the other aisle was wearing a yarmulke, and he was on the phone in a very heated conversation. And he was saying, "Oh yeah, I'll fire everybody in the company. Just try me. I'll go in there on Monday. I'll fire everybody." Over and over again. And I'm sitting there cringing. Now, I don't know what the guy on the other end of the line was saying. And I'm sure the guy with the yarmulke was bluffing and threatening and wasn't going to go forward on that. But every single person who boarded that plane had to walk down that aisle and listen to this conversation. It was not a good look for the Jewish people. And I was thinking, what should I do? Should I lean over, tap him on the shoulder and say, cut it out, get off the phone, make that call later? Should I just grab the phone out of his hand? I didn't do either of those things. Instead, I'm embarrassed to say, I did nothing. I just sat there, very uncomfortable. I spent the whole rest of the flight debating. Should I say something? Should I lean over the aisle? Should I say something when we walk off the plane? And again, I didn't do anything. We walk off the plane. He's with his wife. His wife has to use the restroom. So he's standing in the concourse, doing nothing, just waiting for me to come over and say, by the way, couldn't help but notice, I'm sure you had a reason for what you were doing. It just, your end of the conversation didn't sound good for the Jewish people. Just be more mindful maybe in the future when you're on a public call like that. But instead, I did nothing, kept going. I spoke to some rabbis afterwards. It's worth learning these laws. Yes, there is an obligation to rebuke your fellow when he or she is doing something wrong, but it's complicated. There's certain times when you shouldn't, if you know they're not going to listen, and it's going to make it worse because now they're transgressing intentionally instead of accidentally. But there are other times when God's name is at stake, when it can be a chilul Hashem, when you've got to act. I think this was one of those situations where I should have acted to protect the reputation of the Jewish people, and I'm upset at myself that I didn't. Hopefully the next time I or you will get up, force myself to get up and drop what I'm doing, leave behind whatever I'm doing, and pick up my spear and act. No, I'm not suggesting that you kill somebody, but like they say on the subway, if you see something, say something. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but we've got to do it.